Welcome back to another day in the Elajas era. I'm your host of the most boss, Taylor Elajas. You doing good? I'm doing pretty good. Are you doing good though? I'm doing pretty good today. We're back at the Bel Air headquarters. We're gonna get some takes and get a little tipsy. But today I'm joined by.
They know who I am.
Oh, okay. So for the people that don't know who you are.
They know who I am.
Okay. So for the people in Antarctica that may not even they don't even be around black people.
Yeah.
You know?
They know who I am.
Okay. So for the people that are in Belize that may not know who you are, you know what I'm saying? This is Smart Guy. Okay. Indeed. Oh, round of applause. Nice. But we are here at TIPSY TAYKES presented by Vion. I got me a little mix for myself, but Mr. Smart Guy enjoys him some agua. All right. But Smart Guy, why do they call you Smart Guy?
Well, my name is actually Smart. So
Smart.
my Instagram name is the Smart Guy.
Okay.
So it's an acronym, success, motivation, ambition, righteous, truth. So that's what the name Smart stands for.
Okay. When did you arrive at that acronym?
Being in prison. So I was incarcerated, and one of the OGs in prison was telling me, like, your name brings things into existence, into your life. So like attributes are important. So if someone has a name like drama or murder, people have those names, right? Like murder, drama. It manifests in their life. So I was like, well, damn, I want to be smart. So that was the main purpose of me going with that name or that attribute.
Fire. So what would you say would define someone as smart?
I mean, smart comes in different forms, right? Like, I wouldn't be in a position to define what somebody's smart or not. I would say what makes me smart is just my curiosity about life and education, and my commitment to constantly and consistently learning new things, and then not being afraid to apply those new things that I learned to my life in real time, and not get discouraged when I fall short or fail, because it's a new thing that I'm applying to my life, and then being consistent, diligent, and durable enough to hit the reset button and do the same thing over again, and expect different results, right? Like, almost, I call it the insanity concept, right? Like, because they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but
Expecting different results.
Yeah. So I think for me, I'm insane in a little way, right? Because I'm going to do the same thing over and over again, and I'm not going to stop until I get the result that I want. So I think that's what makes me, smart in my opinion. Yeah.
Dope. Now, even along that concept, I tell this to anybody, like, especially even like women that I'm dating, is I feel like everybody's crazy,
Yeah.
And I try to get to they crazy. I try to figure it out pretty fast, because they be trying to hide it. They put their representative on, and I'm like, yeah, I know you crazy. And they be like, I know, I'm normal.
Well, I mean, I think, I got a mantra, right? And then it goes like, how you think creates how you feel becomes an emotion, that emotion becomes a vibration, that vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you, but also repels things away from you, right? So, people are just reflections of thoughts that you're thinking subconsciously. And the easiest way to get someone to reveal themselves is just to be more of you, right? And, if you're not compatible, it's the energy, it's a frequency, it's a vibration that's gonna, show some type of a disconnect or turbulence, right? And then they have no choice but to show you who they really are. It's like the sun shining in the face of a vampire, and it's just combustion, right? Or whatever. What's that where they just combust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say is the vibration that you emit when you step in a room?
I mean, I'm just diligent. I'm focused, right? Like, I'm focused on, decolonizing the minds of Black people, African people, our people, chocolate people, whatever you want to call it. I'm focusing on that. So that's the energy that's there. fearlessness, confidence, awareness of who I am in terms of being the original man, the scientist of life, the father of civilization, and sharing that, or attempting to share that mindset with our people so we can kind of change the power structure in our favor. And we can start owning buildings like the building that we're in right now, and not just creating on platforms, but owning the platform outright as well as the technology. So when I step into a room, it's that energy of freedom, of rebelliousness, yeah.
Okay. I do typically say and feel that Black people are some of the most divisive individuals on the planet. Like, I feel like there's a lot of internal division amongst ourselves.
But that's by design, right? So systemic racism is a weaponized by Europeans to keep them in power, right? And we've been hit with everything in terms of they weaponize media, they weaponize music, they weaponize sexuality, they weaponize religion, right? They do all these things to keep us, like you said, divided and keeping us focusing on our differences instead of our commonalities, right? And to get us to focus on nationalities as opposed to ethnicity, right? Because when we get away from nationalities and focus solely on the ethnicity, then we start to come to the awareness that we're not the minority, we're the actual majority everywhere on this planet, right? And when we stop allowing white people to tell us what to do and who we are and how to do it, then we'll start to have more power, more confidence, and more freedom. We're only divided because it keeps other cultures in power, right? And we're not taught this in school, right? So it's a lot, right, to unpack, but to try to make it like short form, Jesus wasn't white. Jesus was a Black Messiah who created a revolutionary religion to free Africans from white oppression. That's why he was killed, right? So Jesus, people get that fucked up, right? Like Jesus was killed in the same reason or the same way Malcolm X was killed or Martin Luther King was killed, right? He was a martyr for us, right? And he didn't die for for our sins. He died because he created a system, and he was a master of a system, that had the potential and capabilities to free us and empower us as Black people, right? So when you look at the Black church now, it has to go back to the roots of African Christianity, which teaches revolution, community, society development, and empowerment. And when you look at where we're at now as a whole, we don't have any institutions that are loyal to us, owned by us, right? And it's tough because we've been conditioned since almost existence, right, to think in a way that keeps our oppressor or our colonizer in power. When you think of homosexuality, right? Homosexuality was invented to protect against white genetic annihilation, right? So when people say, yo, I was born this way, and right, well, let's unpack that, right? Let's really unpack that, right? Let's really unpack that. If you were born that way, if that was nature versus nurture, then we wouldn't be here because you need procreation, right? And I think her name is Dr. Sace Wilson. She did a study on that, talking about how homosexuality has been weaponized to destroy the Black family structure, right, and keep us distracted. Then when you think about gangs and the Bloods and the Crips, and I'm Haitian, I'm Jamaican, you're African. We're one race of people, right? And if we don't have institutions, schools, places to teach us who we are and the weapons that are used to keep us to forget who we are, then we're going to be stuck in confusion. So we are the generation of reparation. We are the generation that has access to the technology, has access to the information. So it's important for us to have conversations that protects the future of the generation to come, because it's a power shift that's happening right now, right? And back in the day, Brooklyn, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, parts of Harlem, the Bronx, right? This is pre-gentrification, right? All these brownstones were so affordable, and we didn't understand how to take advantage of our neighborhoods because we wasn't taught real estate. They moved trades out of school, so we didn't know electricity, we didn't know landscaping, we didn't know plumbing, we didn't know brick and mortar, we didn't know how to build buildings. So these so-called Jews, they come in and they take over our communities. 20 years later, these buildings that were $2,000 are now $200 million. And then the internet represents the same opportunities that real estate provided for the people that came before us now. But what are we doing? We're and no disrespect to none of the sponsors, right? But we're using the technology instead of creating the technology, because we're strategically taught not to understand technology, right? So I'm saying all to say this: we have to cultivate a mindset of liberation, a mindset of scale, a mindset of, I want to be competitive. I don't want to just walk into a building and, I want to, I want to own a building. I want to own the land on the building, right? I don't want to just, we love the cameras. There's a lot of cameras here, beautiful cameras, but we need a black B&H. Why are we not inventing a Canon? Why are we not inventing a Carl Zeiss lens? Why are we not creating, not just content, but the tools used to create the content? Why are we not just, creating just content, but why are we not, owning satellites and owning radio towers? Why isn't that intention internalized? Right? That's racism, right? You think of that, right? Like, why we don't have a LVMH? Why don't we have a Viacom, Paramount, Paramount Global, and National Amusements? These are the people who own Viacom and, the big boys, right? So, and the reason why is because we're taught to be slaves. We're taught to be niggas. We're taught to be anything but who we are: gods and goddesses, kings and queens. Yeah.
Oh man. I feel like I just left a Negro spiritual masterclass.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's at the end of the day, no, it's not a. I mean, I get it. You might not understand it.
No. I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm just saying.
But that could be like, but that response, and that's your response, right?
I'm not saying I appreciate everything you're saying.
But listen, let me just say something, right?
I left a Negro spiritual masterclass. I can both to be true.
We not Negroes. See,
I'm not a Negro.
No. And anytime we talk about ownership, there's a defense mechanism inserted into all of us subconsciously about white people to get us to be desensitized when it comes to those conversations. I'm not a nigga. I'm not a Negro, right? I'm not a homosexual.
Colored. I'm
not a blood. I'm not a Crip. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican, right? I am a God. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and not get my just due, right? So if you had a lottery ticket and you paid the lottery ticket and you scratched it off, and the lottery ticket is worth $300 billion, and you're going to sit there and have somebody give you $3, well, we two different brothers, because I need every coin that I want. I need every coin that's coming my way. And we're conditioned to accept less. We're conditioned to, let's keep it. Let's get off race if that makes you uncomfortable. Let's talk about.
Let's nothing of what you said.
Pivot. Let's pivot, right? Since you thought it was Negro spirituals, but
let me just clarify.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing in what you're saying is making me uncomfortable. I
got
provided a little banter to what we got going on.
Yeah.
What you're saying is all true.
Yeah, I got
You're
you.
allowed to get
but let me pivot to connect the point for you.
Okay.
You got RPM, you got CPM, right? Google made over $100 billion in ad revenue. There's over 100 million YouTube channels. Out of those 100 million YouTube channels, let's say 1 million of those channels are serious. out of those million channels that are serious, there's maybe 100,000 that's really putting 18 hours a day into creating content, right? Google only paid out $100 million to content creators out of 100 billion, right? The standardized CPM, meaning cost per 1,000 views that advertisers are going to pay, is $20. So the fuck, like, then when you think about, and then Google takes, I think they take 45% of that. 45% of that, okay? After you meet their standards of watch time, which is almost impossible, okay? Then when you think about RPM, and that's all your ways to monetize your channel, you should know super chat, right? Ads, right? Google takes 75% of that. So why are we sitting here when we're the life source of these platforms, right? Because without content, there's no justification for a company to advertise with Google. So we are the life, we're the heart of YouTube, but we're not getting our financial just due. So why would I sit here and just be cool with getting paid pennies on a $50 when if I understood how to create the technology, I could be making billions of dollars? I'm gonna opt to make billions of dollars, but I have to do my due diligence and learn technology, learn software development, learn how to build streaming services, and really understand how ad revenue is generated, created, and controlled and owned. Yeah.
No, I mean, you definitely spend, even to just slightly touch on that part.
Yeah,
where,
for sure.
I did honestly feel very similar to you about Google and YouTube years ago, and then I just produced all my content and pushed it through my website, and I had people just check out my content on my website that I produced. But I guess the combat to that aspect is all these platforms provide a level of discoverability that you may not be able to get grassroots, and it just allows you to put out even SEO and stuff like that and get more viewership.
YouTube orientates you on how to use the tools that they have. So the same orientation that they allot you, to understand how to use their tools, well, there should be an orientation on ad revenue and advertisement, okay? So I don't give a fuck about you telling me I got access to all these people. So you telling me because I have access to all these people is justifying you fucking robbing me or giving me a unfair payout. Fuck you, okay? So we have to understand ad revenue, right? In terms of economic landscape, cost of living, local purchasing power of your audience, because this dictates how much an advertiser is willing to pay. You're in the biggest market in the world, right? So a company has a higher incentive to advertise with you, and it's a higher ad dollar because the people who watch your content, right? The money they make and their cost of living is so high that they're a more lucrative consumer than someone living in West Bubblefuck, right? So you're the best person to advertise with a company who has a beverage company, right? Because your audience can pay $20 for a bottle of water. So if your audience can pay $20 for a bottle of water, guess what? The ad space on my motherfucking video is not going to be pennies on a motherfucking dollar, right? So now I have to understand how to use my content, how to use my podcast, how to use my episodes to what you're doing right now, right? Consume a product, make the product cool, right? To an audience that has the money to purchase the product, right? And then you don't have to go through all these Google ads because you're putting, pork bacon ads on a Muslim channel and you're putting Democratic ads on a Republican channel. The target advertisement is not going to be as great as if they go directly to you. So you could cut the middleman out and go directly to you. And guess what? You got to pay me top dollar to do that. And if I understand how to do that, which I need to, then I go from being a broke fucking content creator to $1 billion content creator. And it doesn't even tip the iceberg in terms of fucking up the profits for Google. because they're making so much fucking money. And don't get me started on the ancillary items that Google is into in terms of, watches and fitness stuff and all these things that they have other than fucking YouTube, okay? They're making fucking trillions of dollars. So it doesn't even fucking hurt them, for us to increase our knowledge of ad revenue and to cut into that fucking piggy bank and get money more coming in our direction. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, despite my joking nature, you are definitely spitting.
No, it's all good. I mean, no, it's all good. I mean, I get it. This is what I mean, your show and who you are, right? But I don't want us to lose the power to information in the entertainment aspect of, your hosting. And I've seen some of your episodes. I mean, they're very entertaining. And this is why I even agreed to, or obliged to come, right? Like, I fuck with it, man. Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely want to make sure we get you some eats. So outside of all of which that is wrong with this current situation, give the people and Black creators and Black people the motivation and at least the tips of how we can do better moving forward.
Well, so the first thing is mindset, right? So we got to start getting into CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, identifying our negative thought patterns, creating tools that help us dismantle these negative thought patterns. Some of those tools are affirmations, right? I am enough. I am blessed, right? And when we understand the application of affirmation to our lives, when we start understanding physiology and how our bodies respond chemically to what we think repetitively, every thought you think, your body produces a chemical associated with the thought that you think, right? So if I'm thinking something negative, my body produces adrenaline and cortisol, makes it hard to breathe, right? If you're thinking something positive, your body produces endorphins and dopamines and stuff like that, right? So the key to us having confidence is creating affirmations and understanding that how you think creates how you feel becomes an emotion, that emotion becomes a vibration, that vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you, right? And then the next part is only think about what you want, forget about what you don't want, and never speak about what you don't have. Now we have to start having clarity and creating clear goals for ourselves in terms of material things that we want, financial goals that we want, an emotional balance, right? A high level of emotional intelligence and being rational and not being irrational. And then the next thing is timelining the day and then having parallel paths that you follow every single day that leads you to the goals that you set for yourself. If you're on a come up entry level, you should be sleeping no more than 4 hours a day, right? So I'm sleeping 4 hours and I got 20 hours to work. Out of those 20 hours, I need to make sure, and if we're being really locked the fuck in, well, out of every hour in those 20 hours, 45 minutes is spent solely on being productive and being on that parallel path with what the fuck I set out for myself, right? Like those are high level people, right? When you look at, Michael Jordan, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, right? Aliko Dangote, these brothers who are just phenomenal, right? Every hour they're spending at least between 40 and 45 minutes minimum only focus on their endeavors. Okay? So that's the key. That level of input, that level of discipline, that level of sacrifice, that level of, dedication is what's going to turn things around. Okay. And then having affirmations and using those affirmations, writing those affirmations on a flashcard and inserting your affirmation into your regular conversation, like baddie, Negro, what's up, my nigga? Yo, right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm enough. Yeah, bro, I had a good day. I'm enough. See, like making the affirmation a part of your lingo. So the same way we use slang is the same way we need to insert affirmations into our daily conversations, and shit is going to fucking turn around. Okay. And then having the courage to set goals and then understanding the mindset that has to come when you set those goals. Never let desperation change your destination. Never let frustration change your destination. Never let temptation change your destination. I don't give a rat's ass what white person or what black man controlled by a white hand subconsciously is uncomfortable when I talk like this. Because there's going to be a level of isolation that comes when you want to be the best version of yourself. And you have to be willing to go the road less traveled. You have to be willing to maybe not have no fucking friends. You ain't going to like me. So what? But you're going to respect me. You might not love me. You might hate me. I don't give a fuck. You're going to respect me and you're going to respect my gangster. And I'm standing on business. And that's how it's done. Because, you know, it's been over 400 fucking years of us living in poverty, being second fiddle. We are the superior. We are the supreme race. We are superior. There's no secret about that. And when you're superior, you have to enjoy the benefits of superiority financially, economically, spiritually, emotionally. Okay? So you got to be bigger than Joe Rogan, my brother. You got to be bigger than Viacom, my brother. That's who you are, right? And you have to say, okay, let me put together a team and let me start studying advertisement. You need to be making at least 200 million a year on ad revenue. Look at your setup. You got a team of people. I see it. You got camera people, photographers. You got little stylists getting your shit together. Shout out to the stylists. Yeah, you in the motherfucking cut, but you ain't peroxide. All right? Right? So these are the things that come with fucking superiority. And you got to know, like, you got to have that energy. Because these so-called Jewish motherfuckers, these white motherfuckers, the same people who created these companies, they have that. But it's not as authentic as who we are, because we're born with this shit. We're born gods. We're born goddesses. See? We're born with neuromelanin. We're born with things in our body that makes us fucking superheroes. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm about to go jump off a cliff right now. I got all the adrenaline.
That's right. You ready, man? I see it, man.
I'm ready.
Fucking superhero, man.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let people know where they can find you at.
They know where they can find me, man.
They got to hear these gems on other social platforms. Where they can find you at, man.
They know where they can find me at, man.
All right, caramba. Make sure you follow Smart Guy. I'm Smart Guy.
Yeah. So we wrapping up?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So let me do a quick little run through, right?
Do you think?
Boom. Okay. So real quick. Woo. Okay. So I'm almost. I know you're wrapping up. My little note that. Okay, so let's recap. Mindset is important, right? How you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. Vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. You have to timeline your day. So if you want to be a billionaire, if you want to be fucking super rich, you should be working 20 hours, sleeping 4, and then you have to organize every hour and make sure that at least 45 minutes you're only doing shit that is connected and cohesive and conducive to your goal, right? And that's fucking intentional and intense. And whoever doesn't accept that, fuck them. When you raise your level, and you have the potential to raise your level, brother, so raise your level. And when the people start acting funny because you raise your level, let them motherfuckers go. Next thing is, right? You got to understand technology, right? And this is a nice place and a nice setup, but this ain't your shit. So you have to say, okay, how can I have the courage and the confidence to start smaller, entry level. Let me do both simultaneously, right? Because I have a team of people, have experience, I have knowledge. Let me take away the nice cameras and shoot it on the camera phone. Let me take away the nice backdrop and do this shit outside. And then let me figure out, okay, well, how much does a building cost? How much does this cost, right? How much does this really cost? And then let me set my ad goals, to match ownership, right? To purchase a building, right? Because white people don't own, it's not one person. They would like to make you think that it's one person that owns this shit. It's probably like 300 people that own this shit, okay? And it'll be way more cooler. It would be way more fun when you own this shit and it ain't no fucking sand falling out of a fucking clock, when you got episodes like this, right? So yeah, I think we should do a part 2. My treat, okay? Because I like your energy, and I think our thinking out loud conversation deserves like a 3 to 4 hour kind of a thing, But yeah. And FYI, they know where the fuck to find me, man. All right? Yeah.
I bang you, man. That's gonna do it for this episode of Tips Takes. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post notification bells every time we drop a new damn video. Okay, make sure you follow TAYLORELAJAS on all socials. You're gonna see what we got going on because you know we getting down and dirty. Expeditiously.
Wanna see you.
Chillin' with your friends for the week. We could be honest. I got a bad girl, we can get away. All your broke niggas couldn't say the same. She my bad girl, she my freak.